Welcome to the Unscripted Authentic Leadership Podcast, a podcast we are seeking to lead change while also seeking to understand. We are also here as a platform for leaders to come together to unite, to develop and empower other leaders in the areas of business, family, faith, and community. I'm your host, Lafayette Lane, joined by my co-host, John LeBrun. Today, we are joined by our special guest all the way from California, our special guest, Rory Douglas. You already know what time it is. Put those hands together, put those clap emojis in the comment section as Rory joins us today to have an incredible conversation about what no one will tell you about money. A little bit about Rory. He is a financial educator, high-performance life coach, and international best-selling author. We are excited to have you on, Rory. Thanks for coming on.
Man, thank you guys for having me, man. I'm just excited to be able to talk to both of you guys, man. I call you guys salt and pepper. Y'all got the mix, man.
Well, we use peanut butter and jelly all the time. That was Lafayette, you know.
I might have to change that now, John. Salt and pepper. I think I like that a little more.
All good.
I love it. I love it. Roy, man, let's get right into the conversation. Both John and I feel like a fanboy tonight. I'm a huge fan of you. Watch you every day. Go back to even reels and stuff that you've posted on Instagram that I've already watched, and I'll watch it again because you say so many things that are so applicable, things that may seem easily, but people are not applying. For instance, you talked about the 5 things about finance that we were not taught in school. You talked about banks are not meant for storage, what compound interest is, the rule of 72, the 10-20 rule, and the 50-30-20 rule. Can you break that down about the 5 things about finance that they don't teach us in school?
Well, I'll tell you this here. I'm not opposed to school because we all know that education is really what it's all about. But I've always wondered, how is it possible that a boxer make millions, but a teacher can barely make a living? I'm just saying that in general. You know, actually, we don't have a money problem in America. We have a literacy problem, and it's a lack of financial literacy. And financial literacy, for those who don't know, is just simply a lack of financial education. And right now, we're dealing with a pandemic and very volatile times in this society. But we had a crisis before this particular crisis, this pandemic. Before the pandemic, the average American, can you believe this, was 1 to 2 paychecks away from being homeless, and 1 out of 3 Americans in debt. The average American family cannot even handle a $400 emergency. The average college student gets out of college with about $28,000. They're pursuing to be a doctor or a lawyer or a professional, anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000. And the average person who went to college in America is still in student loan debt in their late 40s. So I'm on a national campaign for financial literacy. So when I give different rules about like the 50-30-20, the 10-20 rule, what I'm doing is giving the common American basic financial literacy, which is not taught in school. And that's what it's all about. We don't have a money problem. We have a literacy problem. But once we solve the lack of financial literacy, I believe that we'll have money for a lifetime and not a lunchtime.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So many gems just dropped in that. So watching you again on your Instagram and just following you, one thing that really sticks out is you're always talking about not putting your money in the bank, because putting your money in the bank doesn't really make you any type of money on the money that you've invested. There's no interest being made on your money, and banks not being a storage. Can you kind of go deeper into that, into why we shouldn't put our money in the banks? And if not in the bank, where should we put our money?
Well, in actuality, we should do what we call smart banking. And if you guys know that you hear banks basically talk about smart banking, don't they?
Right.
No. I always tell people this. We go to the bank, we put our monies in the bank. And on average, banks in America give us about minus 1%. Now, when we think about inflation, I call it the silent killer. Inflation right now is about 4.5%. And for those individuals who don't know what inflation is, it's basically your dollar has less spending power. But right now, inflation is about 4.5%. So when you really think about it, guys, if the bank is on average giving us minus 1% and inflation is 4.5%, We got to have at least 5% or greater just to even beat inflation. So today you can be literally saving money in the bank and losing at the same time. Because every year taxes and inflation goes up, but then the value of our money goes down. So I always tell people, don't save money in the bank, because we should do what the bank is doing. I call it BYOB for those who are looking and listening. BYOB, be your own bank. Be your own bank. Do what the bank is doing. Well, let me tell you guys what the bank is doing. We go to the banks, we put our monies in the bank, they give us minus 1%. The bank, they don't save our money. They take our money and put it in the market and get all of the compounding interest. Now, the banks do something that's called fractional banking. Fractional banking, which means if I deposit $1,000 in the bank, by law, banks are required to keep 10% of our deposits. So the bank will keep 100, but invest the 9 in the market and get all of the compounding interest. So the same bank that we put monies in to save don't even save our money. So I always tell people, would you rather put monies in the bank and get minus 1%, or would you rather put your money where the bank put their money? It's just education. Once again, have no problems with the bank. I just want you to do smart banking. And your greatest asset is your mindset. Start with your mind first. I call it financial fitness. Get your mind right, or get your shift together. I didn't say curse. I said shift. Get your shift together. Change your thinking.
Wow. So on that same note, then, where...
Well, get your shift together. I didn't curse, but what I'm...
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. I love it.
So, on that same note, then, where, if someone's going to ask, okay, so where should I put the money then if I'm not putting the bank? And then I know there's probably the other question is, what is that threshold or recommendation of, like, the average American, and I think you mentioned this earlier, has less than $1,000 in savings. And so I can hear somebody asking, okay, so what's the threshold of when do I start the alternative method, or do I just take everything and never put it in a bank? Like, is there $1,000 in the bank? Is it 10,000? What is that? What is that? Can you unpack that a little bit?
Oh, definitely. I'll unpack it for you. I'll unpack it in a couple of ways. Most people, when you tell them don't put your money in the bank, they want to know quite naturally where should I put it? It's important. Now, when I said to you guys a little earlier, would you rather put monies in the bank and get minus 1%, or would you rather put your money where the bank put their money? What I meant was, okay, the banks put their money. The first thing I told you guys, fractional banking. Also, the banks get involved with home loans, student loans, credit cards, automobile loans, all of that. And then the banks also get involved with investing in the market also too. But the banks do something that may come to a surprise to most of your listeners. The banks are heavy vested in life insurance. It's called BOLI, bank-owned life insurance. The banks were so infatuated with life insurance. Last year during the pandemic, over $190 trillion was purchased by the banks in America. Okay, now what does the banks do with that money? That life insurance. The banks do, first, they take the life insurance, they cover their asset and their employees. They also take the cash value that's in life insurance and they do fractional banking. They lend it out. And on top of that, all of it's tax-free. So I always tell people, your wealth is your health. Your wealth is your health. Invest in you first. Invest in you first. How can I invest in me? Invest in you first through a life insurance policy. Why do you think the banks are investing in life insurance? Because there's benefits. Does that make sense? Now, let me tell you why it seems a little unorthodox to most people. Because the average person in America don't understand the real meaning of life insurance. See, the operative word is insurance. That's the operative word, insurance. So if I said to you guys right now, automobile insurance, you think about a car quite naturally. If I said home insurance, homeowners insurance, you think about a home. But when I say life insurance, the first people think about is someone passing or dying. But it's called life insurance. There is a particular type of insurance that's called final expense, burial insurance. That's to bury you. Life insurance is to carry you, not to bury you, to transfer wealth. So the true meaning of life insurance is to transfer wealth. So you can actually have an account in a life insurance policy and do private banking, be your own banking. Instead of getting minus 1%, you can get up to 15% compound. So invest in yourself. Your health is your wealth. Be your own bank. That's what I'm saying.
So you can make money off your life insurance while you're living. Is that what you're saying?
You better believe it. That's what the bank is doing. And it's all tax-free.
Wow. Okay.
So
I never knew that.
The true meaning of life insurance for all of your listeners is to transfer wealth. That's why it's called life insurance. Let me say this to you guys. Facts. Go check it out. Ray Kroc got started McDonald's with monies out of a life insurance policy. Walt Disney got started with monies out of a life insurance policy. Go check it out. Facts. As I said earlier, the average American use life insurance to bury them, but the rich and the wealthy use it to carry them. So invest in yourself, be your own bank, and get more interest. That's it. And do smart banking. Pay your bills with it and things of that sort.
Okay, so then how does somebody know which type? Because we've all been approached by someone who's selling life insurance.
Yes.
And often, he's like 23. He wants to tell me how I need to do everything. I'm thinking I'm 30, almost 38. I have kids. I'm thinking, I don't know if you've had life yet happen to you. So like, how do we know what we're looking at and what really makes sense? Does it depend on the situation, or is there like a go-to?
Well, I'll tell you this here. It is no silver bullet for everything. I always tell people you can't have enough life insurance, and it's really about the right one for you. So make sure that when you do talk to someone that they have a track record, and not only that they're not just a life insurance agent. They are a financial educator. See, I'm a financial educator. What I do is I educate people about life insurance. I educate people about finance. So therefore, you can take it and learn for yourself. So therefore, you can share it with your family and your friends. Because like I said to you guys, right now, the average American is 1 to 2 paychecks away from being homeless and 1 out of 3 in debt. It's a lack of financial education. So we got to really change that. We have to change that. So it's all about education. So how do you know if it's the right thing? Do your due diligence, get the information, look at it, investigate it. And then that's what it's all about. That's what I do. I train people, teach people on what they should have. Does that make sense? I would never sell you anything. I'm a firm believer. I always tell people when value is made clearly, decisions are made easily. I don't have to sell you what you need.
Wow. Ooh. Hey, Lafayette, let's talk real quick. So anybody who's listening right now, if you've picked up anything so far, take a screenshot of this on your phone and share it on your social media, because your friends need to hear what Rory has to say. And go to Rory's pages, Rory K. Douglas on Instagram. They've got to listen to what he's saying. So take that screenshot real quick, just a quick plug, share it on your social media. And anyways, let's get back to it.
You guys are a hard nut to crack. If y'all said that, man, I feel good. Let's go.
Roy, there was a viral video that went viral about a college professor. He was teaching about debit cards versus credit cards. And he was saying that he does not buy or give his kids debit cards. He gives them credit cards.
I know him personally.
And I went to your page, that I saw that you had made commentary on it. So I'm like, perfect. Rory can unpack this, because it's kind of the polar opposite of what you hear from some of the famous financial experts or gurus that will tell you, credit cards are the enemy and cut up credit cards, don't use credit cards. But here it is. This guy was saying, hey, no, that's actually the opposite thinking. Can you unpack that for us, this whole issue of debit card versus credit cards?
Oh my God. Let me say that you guys got some good questions. I'll tell you this. Here's the thing. I just gave you guys the facts. The average American before the pandemic was 1 to 2 paychecks away from being homeless. That's the average American. 1 out of 3 Americans in debt. Listen to this, facts. The average person in America spends about 50% of their monthly income just on mortgage or rent.
Mm.
Today, in this society, with inflation and prices are so astronomical, who has the cash to be able to pay for these things just straight up? Very little people. So what we have to do is we have to learn how to use credit to our advantage. Does that make sense?
Sure.
We have to use it to our advantage because realistically, you need credit. That's the bottom line. A home today in America, on average, may cost you $400,000, right? So the bottom line is use credit, but you got to use it to your advantage. Not use credit in a way where you're being addicted and wasteful spending, and then you become in debt, right? I always tell people on a side note, debt stands for do everything but tied. Do everything but tied. That's what debt stands for. But the bottom line is that the only difference is, you guys, we need credit in this type of society today. But you have to use it to your benefit, not use it in a way where it becomes a habit and you're spending and gets out of control like the average American and put yourself in debt. But everybody needs credit. I'm not really against it. It's just that everybody needs it. And then when you use a debit card, let's say if I use a debit card and I have $100,000 in my account and someone embezzles $100,000 out of my account, well, I called the bank and I may not even get my $100,000 back in most cases. But if I have a credit card, it's a different story. You get my point?
Right.
So you do the same thing the banks do. When you walk inside of a bank, it says the FDIC only insures your money up to $250,000. Guys, if I got $2 million in the bank, the FDIC is only insuring my money up to $250,000. So people don't realize that the insurance companies are the ones who have the money. The banks don't even save your money. So the bottom line is you got to go where the security is. You got to go where the money is.
Yeah. So to provide a little clarity for anybody who's wondering, you have to understand the difference of the information someone's giving you, right? So I think Lafayette's talking about, you hear philosophies from like a Dave Ramsey who says, don't use credit. But his audience is deeply in debt and they have no idea how to get out of it. He's saying, here's what you got to do to get out of that debt. Now, he's also worth probably several $100 million. I'm sure he does things differently with his money than I do. And so when Lafayette is bringing up a video, he's talking about, if I saw a similar video, it's basically saying like, look, you can spend your money on everything, or you can leave it gaining interest and use somebody else's money with a credit card. They're not saying rack up the card and don't pay it off. They're saying that at the end of the month, you're going to pay your stuff off. And then therefore you're not taking your money out of its interest every month. You're letting it compound for the entire time.
You hit the nail on the head. That's
exactly.
The point is that only suckers save money.
Yeah.
Only suckers save money. Money is meant to be used. Does that make sense? To make interest off of your money. That's important. So we put money in the bank, we save it, correct? We get no interest. But if you put money inside of an investment that gives you compounding interest, your money grows, right? But the average American is not taught that. We're taught to put money in the bank and just save it and allow the bank to make interest off our money. So that's what it's all about. So I always tell people, money needs us. I'll tell you, if I put $5,000 on this table right in front of me right here, that $5,000 will be here next year this time if I don't pick it up and use it. So we got to really change our mindset to money needs us, not we need money. Whatever you chase after of, it's going to get away from you. And that's the reason why Americans are suffering. We're chasing money, but that's on a whole nother subject, because I'm a personal believer in natural manifestation and spiritual manifestation. God has an economy and man has an economy. And man's economy, you work 8 hours, you get paid for 8 hours. In God's economy, you work for 8 hours, you get paid for 8 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what you're saying is that it starts in the mind, just like everything else in life. It's a mindset, because you talked about something on your page that fell right in line with where I wanted to ask you next, because you said that money does buy happiness. We've heard all our lives.
You
People
guys are killing me. But go ahead.
money can't buy you happiness. But you're saying money does buy happiness. You said, and I quote, the only people who say money doesn't buy happiness are broke people. Please explain that.
Man, you guys got me on the grill like El Polo Loco, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll answer clearly. All right, let me just say this to you guys. In order for me to answer it, I have to answer it in two ways. Well, I always tell people, in life, your job is what you get paid for. Your calling is what you are made for. I'm going to say that again. Your job is what you get paid for. Your calling is what you're made for. The calling is the thing that is in your heart, the thing that you should be doing, the thing, achieving your goals or your dreams. That's your calling. The average American is used to trading time for money. Trading time for money. In life, you're only going to be doing two things. Either you're going to be working to fulfill your own vision or working to fulfill someone else's vision. When I said that money does buy happiness, what I meant by that is this. I meant that we know that in this society, we need money to pay our bills, to have a healthy family, whatever we do. Now, if we look at what's happening in society, marriage, number one thing is broke up a marriage over finance. Crime, finance. When it all comes down to it, it's all about finance. Now, the scripture says that a feast was made for laughter. Wine make it merry, but money answer all things. A feast was made for laughter, food, having fun. Wine, not drinking, knowledge, wine, make it merry. But money answer all things. And what is things? Cars, homes, material things. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Don't tell me you have faith if I don't see anything. Faith without works is dead. I didn't say faith without W-O-R-K, faith without work. That's trading time for money. Faith without works, W-R-K-S, action verb, which means what you have faith in, it manifests and you clearly see it. So it's nothing wrong with having money. Broke people get angry of people who are successful, who have money. And I'm saying this to you. No, money is not the root of all evil. People don't realize that. The love of money is the root of all evil, not the lack of.
Yes.
The scripture said that he came that we may have life and have it more abundantly.
Abundantly.
So when I speak, man, I'm speaking from a standpoint of love. I really want people to be able to get excited, be the best version of themselves, have a prosperous life. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve. But people today, they spend so much time outside of themselves and very little time with themselves. What I mean by that, very little time with themselves, but most outside of themselves. We come up as kids and our influences is to go to college to be a certain thing. The average college student changes their major at least 4 times. We get into the real world and we do the same thing. We start and stop, start and stop. We always listen to other people's opinion, what mom wanted, what dad wanted, what my friend said. But the bottom line is you got to spend time with yourself. When you spend time with yourself, you'll discover your passion. And when you discover your passion, you'll live your purpose. And once you live your purpose, man, you have money for a lifetime, not a lunchtime. It's all about having an abundant life. I always tell people hurt people. And happy people love to help people. I'm one of those guys where I want to help people. I want to encourage people. I want to build them up. But at the same token, I also want to identify those individuals who try to wreck people's dream. We're talking about the naysayers and the haters and all that stuff. But the bottom line is 90% of winning is simply excitement. I dare you get excited. That's what it's all about. Your attitude will determine your altitude. It's all about getting excited, living your best life, living your dream. That's what it's all about. I always tell people, man, that your dreams are not a figment of your imagination, just showing you glimpses of your future. I want to encourage people to live their dream.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Steve Harvey always says your dream will make room for you, I think is how he says it.
Yeah, that's the scripture says that your gift will make room for you.
There we go.
That's exactly what I was saying to you. Everybody has a gift inside of them. Everyone has greatness inside of them. And nobody can be you. But more people today spend more time outside of themselves and very little time with themselves. We're getting not information, we're being put in formation. Information, just getting in line. But what we really need is information.
We can go down that rabbit hole all day. So true. That's why they call it the TV program, right? You sit there and let it tell you what to think all day. Anyways, Rory, my goodness.
Man.
Keep going, Lafayette.
Okay. I thought you was okay. Yeah. Wow. Sheesh. I love your message because your message can resonate with anybody. For instance, something that really stuck out to me. Now, I have went to college. I'm a college graduate, but I'm also a firm believer that's not everybody's path to be successful. And you said on your page, you actually showed your neighborhood, you showed your neighbors. You talked about that you don't have to go to college to be successful. You showed some of your neighbor. One neighbor was a show producer. One was a YouTuber. One sells logos, and one was an insurance agent. What would you say to those that are saying, hey, the only way that I can be financially successful is to go to college and to get in more debt? Can you expound a little more to encourage our audience to say, hey, there's more than just that one path to be successful?
You know, I personally believe, and I know that you guys also too, education is the key to life. You have to be educated. We know that.
Sure.
It's okay to have education. It's okay to go to college.
Sure.
But we all, at the same token, we have to be honest with ourselves. College in America does not teach us how to go to college and get out and do something for ourselves. It teaches us how to get out and go work in corporate America.
Yep.
Right.
This is facts. Today, the average person keeps a job in corporate America 5 to 6 years. Facts. So when I say to people that you don't have to go to college to be successful, I mean exactly that. And when you do your due diligence and you see some of the most successful people today don't even have a college degree.
Right.
It's not to say that no one should go to college. If that's your path, that's your path. But I just gave people the facts. The average college student gets out of college with about $28,000 debt. If they're pursuing to be a professional, a doctor, or lawyer, could be from $100,000 to $200,000 debt. The average person in America who went to college is still in student loan debt in their late 40s. Student loan has the highest percentages, man. The highest percentages, like 728% above all other fields. So when you combine credit cards, listen to this. When you combine credit cards and bank overdraft charges together, it does not supersede student loan debt. So we see a lot of people going to school with a whole bunch of degrees, but why they broke? So I want people to get real information. I don't want them to get information. To get information and do what everybody else is doing. I want you to get real information. I want you to get true education. That's what it's all about.
Amen.
Not talking against it. But
no, I teach my kids right now. My son is 10, my daughter's 7. My son keeps telling people he doesn't have to go to college, and they all look at me like the worst dad ever. Look, my kids actually, for all those who judge me, they already have a saved income, like a college savings plan. There's money in there in case they want to go that route. So it's sort of prepared for, but I don't push it. Because the thing is it only makes sense if college only makes sense is if that's what you need to support sort of your dream or what your purpose is. Otherwise, right? Why am I going to go to school for an art degree, a business degree, or whatever? Some people go to school now for entrepreneurship. Well, unless the professor is an entrepreneur, I'm not sure how that helps too much.
You're right about that. And I'll tell you this is real profound that I talk to a lot of people, and we have some of the top colleges. I'm not going to mention the name of these top colleges that has entrepreneur programs. They understand the importance of that. And I'll tell you another thing also too. you got to be careful about. A lot of us are setting up college savings plans for our kids. If you ever heard of a 529 college savings plan, you guys ever heard of that?
Yep.
Okay, 529 college savings plan. Couple of things. A 529 savings plan, it's basically in an unsecured account. An unsecured account is an account where you can lose. It's on the market. Market goes up, you make money. The market goes down, you lose money. So right off the gate, you're gambling with your children's education. Then it gets even worse than that. If you have a side 529 savings plan, it's reported to FAFSA. You guys know what FAFSA is?
Mm-hmm.
When you fill in the paperwork for a grant,
student loans, yeah.
It's reported to FAFSA. And we had a situation that happened last year, if you guys recall. Some celebrities got slapped on the wrist for using identities.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was all about. There was about $500 million unaccounted for in urban communities for grants and scholarships that was available. So we got to keep in mind that a lot of things that we're doing today, we got to understand what we're doing. So check the 529 savings plan out and see what's happening with it now. It's reported to FAFSA.
So what you're saying is I need to take all my money out of my 529 account.
You have one? You have one for real?
For real.
Okay. I'm going to send something to you. Don't worry, so you'll see. It's reported to FAFSA. So that when you get ready to go to college, if they go to college, it's going to hurt them to get the full manifestation.
Wow.
Lafayette, this is authentic leadership right here. We're just laying it out on the table, my friend.
No, that's not what I was saying at all. That was a
you know, I'm saying this stuff, man. I be taking a lot of hits, man. I be taking a lot of hits. You guys don't realize a lot of times I be taking a lot of hits, not from the people. They love everything I'm telling them, but other people, I be taking hits. I'm just telling the truth. It's documented.
Yeah, sometimes you're just trying to do the best what you know how to do to set up the future, but it doesn't always, you know.
Absolutely. No. I wasn't saying anything negative against you, bro. I was saying that he's going to send you some information. And so.
Yeah, I'm going to send you some information because you don't want that situation, man, because it's reported to FAFSA. But what you can actually do is have your kids have a college savings plan that is not reported to FAFSA, which means not a college savings plan. Because, see, when a kid turns 18 with a 529 savings plan, they can take and do whatever they want to do with it. Are you aware of that?
No.
It's their money at 18. They can do what they want to do with the money.
Wow. Well, can you send me that information as well?
Don't go to college. It's taxed also, too, as ordinary income. Are you aware of that?
No.
Yeah, it's important. So you have to make sure that you set your kids up with a plan that is not for college savings plan, but set your kids up with a retirement plan. And the reason we don't set our kids up with a retirement plan is because we're taught in America that retirement is age 65. In actuality, retirement is when you have enough money. You can retire at 16 if you're rich.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have another question then. This is something that just came off the mind. 401ks. What's your opinion on 401ks?
Oh my God, you guys are killing me, man.
I really don't even know your answer, but I really want to know because I have my feelings on it.
You know what? I love this, man, because you guys this is not powder puff. You guys ask real questions, man. That's why I love what y'all do.
We're here for the people.
Yeah, let me say this to you. Let me say this to you guys. 401ks at one particular time was an okay bet, which means you could retire off of 401k moderately, not really comfortably. Okay. Now, although today there are more 401k millionaires than ever before because of baby boomers, but a small margin. But let me give you an example so you understand what I mean. When 401ks first started, they matched dollar for dollar. I put in $500, I get matched $500. That's a good bet, right? Now, I told you guys in the beginning of our conversation that inflation in America right now is about 4.5%. Okay, so now we know that we have to have 5% or greater just to even beat inflation and taxes. Now, 401ks is actually an Internal Revenue Service tax code. A lot of people don't even know that. When they say 401k, it's not a 401k account where money is inside of it. 401k is an Internal Revenue Service tax code. Your funds are in a retirement account, okay? Now, companies today are not matching anymore. So let's say we had a company that said we're going to match you 2%. Are you beating inflation? No. Okay, now 401ks, once again, 401ks, 403bs, TSPs, whatever, those are pretty much in unsecured accounts. Unsecured, which means it's based off of the market. Market goes up, you make money. Market goes down, you lose money. Okay, now you don't have to be a rocket scientist. This is for you guys listeners. I want them to hear this. The market on average make a correction every 8 to 9 years. Facts. I can look, 2000, the market was up. 2003, the market fell. People's 401ks turned into 201ks. From 2003, the market spiraled up to 2008. Housing crisis, market fell. People's 401ks turned into 201ks. Here we are from 2008 with 2021. Mark my word, the same thing is about to happen very, very soon. Okay, so since 401ks are not matched dollar for dollar, in my opinion, it's a bad bet because it's in a unsecured account. And a lot of people don't want to recognize this, but whenever you have a 401k, you are investing in the stock market for your retirement, not in yourself. Now, what you want to do is you want to be able to go from an unsecured account to a secured account. And that's what most Americans don't have that information. What is a secured account? A secured account is an account where you can't lose anything at all. Does that make sense? Now, there's only 3 ways in America that you can control your own retirement. The first way is called the 59.5 rule. At 59.5, Uncle Sam is knocking on the door for taxes. So at 59.5, you have the right as an American to control your own retirement. What I mean by that? You can go from an unsecured account to a secured account so you don't have to worry about market loss anymore. Most Americans don't know that. So they stay in unsecured accounts. Even when they retire instead of go to a secured account, they go from an unsecured account back to another unsecured account and play the up and down rat race for the rest of their lives. But the first way, 59.5 rule. Second way, if you no longer work for the company, you got a 401k sitting somewhere else, most people, why is it sitting there in an unsecured account? Oh, taxes. No, you can avoid the taxes. You can go to a secured account and avoid the taxes to not participate in market risk. But the average American don't know this. And then the third and final way, if you bump retirement from one company to the next company. So I always tell people, learn how to go from an unsecured account to a secured account. Now, I'm not against stocks and investments. That's great. But the bottom line is, if you work your butt off for 30 years or 20 years, you need to know exactly what your options are. And most Americans don't even know that. And as you and I speak right now, the greatest wealth transformation is taking place in America. The greatest wealth transformation. I'm talking about money exchanging hands from one generation to the next generation. We have $27 trillion sitting in retirement accounts right now as we speak. And we have 1 million baby boomers retiring every single day that don't even have the information I'm telling you right now.
Mm.
So then what can a company offer if there's a company that really wants to? So I know because my family owns businesses and so forth, that people show up, hey, you should offer 401k. It's great tax benefit for the company, blah, blah, blah. Is there an alternative then that they can offer that will actually be more secured?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell me?
If you want to know what to do, you do what the banks are doing, or you do what corporate America is doing. Yeah. There's something that's called COLI, corporate-owned life insurance. COLI, corporate-owned life insurance. Now, listen to this. I just told you guys 401k, right? We established that it's an Internal Revenue Service tax code, right? Most people in America don't know about this tax code, 7702, 7702. Most Americans don't even know that. When I go do my seminars and I ask people if they know what a 401k is, raise your hand. Everybody raise their hand. I say, who knows about 7702, Internal Revenue Service tax code? Nobody raised their hand. 7702 is what the rich and the wealthy use mostly. 7702 says anyone that's saving for retirement in America can retire tax-free, but only in a life insurance policy. When you have a 401k, you're investing in the stock market for your retirement. When you have 7702, you're investing in yourself for your retirement. So you're allowed to retire tax-free. That's the hidden secret. A lot of people don't know that. Invest in yourself, tax-free.
Yeah.
I hope this thing blows up.
And you don't have to withstand market risk.
Wow.
That's a real retirement plan. Not a plan that's called a retirement plan where you're investing in the market for your retirement and you plan the up and down game.
Rory, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and then I have a little baby boy that's on the way, that's due in a couple weeks. And I want to make sure that I'm saving up for my children. I was on your Instagram again. I'll keep going back to your Instagram because I've watched all your stuff.
This got to be careful. Go ahead.
You did a 2-part Instagram reel talking about don't leave anything for your kids. And because people have the mindset, well, if I just save. And I'm like, okay, well, what is he talking about? And you went on to explain about if you just leave money for your kids, they may have garnishes, all these different things. People can touch that money, but if you put it in a trust, that money is safe. Can you speak more on putting money in your trust for your children and how that works? How can we do that?
Hey, man, you guys are spiritual guys. You guys heard the scripture before. A fool and his money will not later depart, soon depart. That's why we see average sports players go broke within 5 years. See, when I say don't leave your kids anything, not literally. In other words, you have to set your kids up for success. I always tell people own nothing but control everything. Own nothing but control everything. You got 2 little ones coming, 1 little one coming in the world, and congratulations on that. And you got another little one. It's no reason why they shouldn't be $1 million babies. They're not going to be $1 million babies if you're doing the traditional way of saving in the bank. So they're young. So you set them up now. You put them inside of a life plan where they're getting compounding interest. And when they get older, they'll have a bunch of funds sitting there because it's compounding over time. So set them up that way. Invest in them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That's important. Now, I'll say this to you guys, that we don't understand how organizations that are known, we're talking about names, Wells Fargo, that's a name of a last name. These are legacies, man. These are people, Walmart, that's a name of a family. And see, I always tell people, man, that you have to leave a legacy for your family. Now, when you have a kid, you're no longer hustling for your first name now. You're hustling for your last name. And the scripture says a just man leave an inheritance for his children's children's children. And guess what? That's not physical money, that's knowledge. So when I say leave your kids nothing, I mean, don't leave your kids anything that they can use and spend without any education. So you got to set them up. So basically what you do is you set your kids up a trust for your kids to be able to protect the money. Let the trust pay the family, but protect it so no one can be able to abuse the kids, take their funds, and the kids know exactly what to do with the funds. So my kids, I'm not giving them nothing. I'm training them how to produce something. Does that make sense? So yes. That's what it's all about. It's about education. It's all about education, man. I always tell people in life, the more education you have, the more you ascend. Have you ever seen a book, man? When you open up a book, you guys got a book, open it up. Anybody have a book around them? There you go. Open that book in half. Center it in half. Okay, put your finger in the middle of it and put it up a little high. No, put it up a little high. What does that look like? Does that look like wings?
Looks like wings.
That's the wings, the wings of knowledge. The more knowledge you get, the more you advance.
Yeah. I love it.
Give your kids knowledge so they can rise above their condition, so they'll have knowledge. So when I was saying give the kids nothing, not literally don't give them nothing, set them up so they can get something for themselves, for a lifetime once again and not a lunchtime. That's what I meant by that. And setting kids up today is easier than ever. But if we don't understand the financial system, then we can't really get ahead. And that's what the book is all about, Cracking the Rich Code, the new bestseller.
I love it. I love it. We're going to get into the book. I just have one more question. I don't know if John has another question.
He hit me.
This one, I'm going to take you off the grill for this one, Rory. You said something that really encouraged me about networking, because we're in a networking age and we know networking is absolutely necessary if we're going to be successful. But you said it from a different perspective that I never looked at it from. You said that you cannot network, or networking does not work if you don't have anything in your net. Can you explain to us what you meant by that?
Well, today people use networking loosely. They use entrepreneurism loosely. I see a lot. This is a slang word I created. I see a lot of entrepreneurs and very little entrepreneurs. A entrepreneur is somebody who wants to do something but never pulls the trigger on it. Somebody who wants to do something but they never pull the trigger. What I mean by that? They don't put their all into it. They're not committed. I always tell people, man, that it's my 3 C's. The first C is consistency. Consistency is the key to success. Being consistent. That's the key to success. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to know the most. But being consistent, that's the key to success. That's my first C. The second C is confidence. Confidence is a very tricky word. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and have confidence. That's why we say we have to gain confidence. You'll never gain confidence if you're not consistent. Confidence comes by doing the same thing over and over again. When you do the same thing over and over again, you don't get bitter, you get better. Once you become consistent, you gain confidence. Once you gain confidence, the third C, you gain the courage to win. You gain the courage to win. So the bottom line is what I'm saying to you is that you got to really, really understand today that people, they don't buy books anymore. They don't buy music. They buy you. They buy you. So today, in a society of artificial intelligence, AI, these are facts, man. You go into the bank, you see machines. You go into the airport, you see machines. You go into the store, you see machines. In the next 5 years in America, 85 million jobs are going to be displaced due to artificial intelligence. We got college students today paying for an education that's going out when a new one is coming in. We're so far behind in America. So far behind. So we have to begin to have these type of conversations that I'm having with you guys. We have to have these kind of conversations because you're not truly an entrepreneur unless you're willing on turning your 9 to 5 into your 6 to 9. I'm going to say that again. If you're not willing on turning your 9 to 5 to your 6 to 9, you're not a true entrepreneur. Because a true entrepreneur will work at least 16 hours a day. That's a true entrepreneur. And these are facts. If you work 16 hours a day for yourself, doing something that you specialize in the next 3 years, you can have financial freedom. But guess what? The average person had that start and stop mentality. They change their major in college 4 times. They get in the real world and they do the same thing. But like I said earlier, your job is what you get paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. Very little people are living their calling. You have so many people that's fulfilling someone else's vision, someone else's dream. That's what's happening in America. That's the bottom line. But listen, you got to fulfill your own vision, your own dream. God wouldn't have put it into you. He wouldn't have put it inside of you if you didn't have the ability to bring it out. He said that he's going to give us the desires of our heart. If it's inside of you, you have the ability to bring it out. But most people lack discipline. They lack being consistent. They lack confidence. And all of that boils down to one word, fear. All boils down to fear. And I got something for fear. I always tell people, fear is really not a part of us, man. It comes upon us. You know, the scripture says that God does not give the spirit of fear. Fear is a spirit. Poverty is a spirit. Lack is a spirit. Ignorance is a spirit. God does not give the spirit of fear. Guess what he does? He gives the spirit of love, peace, and a sound mind. You got power. That's what it's all about. So you need to get into the spirit of power, not the spirit of fear. Fear is not a part of us. It comes upon us. And it's up to us to let it in. You get my point? But when you operate in the spirit of power, fear begins to fear you. And I always tell people, when you become fearless, life becomes limitless.
My God, today.
Guys, yeah. Fear is basically, you're just scared of something that hasn't even happened yet.
Say it again.
scared of something that's never even happened yet. You're just assuming something bad's going to happen.
That's it. That's it. And that stops people. But guess what? It stops people because they lack discipline. They're not consistent. They lack confidence. My 3 C's. Listen, you don't have to be the best. You don't have to know the most. Just get consistent. Take baby steps. Praise progress, but not perfection. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Rory, tell us about your international bestseller, Cracking the Rich Code, that you have wrote. Tell our audience about this amazing book that is now a bestseller.
Well, Cracking the Rich Code is actually a book that a great friend of mine, Jim Britt, world-renowned life coach, business strategist. Actually, Tony Robbins spent a lot of time with him. We all learn a lot from him. He basically called me to be a part of a book that's called Cracking the Rich Code, based off what I'm doing in the marketplace, helping people and talking to people. And the book is basically an entrepreneur's blueprint. It's a book that basically put together some of the best minds and collaborate on the challenges that they had in business and understand how money works, finance works, how the world works. That's why it's called Cracking the Rich Code. See, a lot of people don't know that doctors have a language, not literal language, they have a way to speak. Lawyers have a language. So does the rich and the wealthy. Once you learn the language of the rich and the wealthy, you crack the rich code. That's the reason why I'm encouraging people to really start getting involved with finance. I call it financial fitness. Get your head right. Financial fitness. People are eating right there in the gym. That's great. But you got to really get your head right. Financial fitness. So that's what it's all about. Financial fitness. Get your kids, work their minds out with finance. That's the whole 9 yards. So it's all about that. It's just a movement, man, of educating people, giving them real information. So therefore they can really break this spirit of poverty that's permeating in one of the richest countries in the world. It's poverty. And we need to get away from that. And it's not about black and white. It's about wrong and right. You know, we got to really, really start loving and caring for one another, man. It's too much division in America, too much bickering and fighting and politics and all this stuff. And the bottom line is, man, if we don't get it together with our young kids today, what is the future going to look like? I got young kids coming up. You guys got young kids coming up. So we have to be the change that we want to see. We have to be the change that they want to see, because I'm a firm believer that it's just like a tree. If you don't like the fruit that a tree produces, you don't get mad at the fruit. You got to get mad at the root. So if the young kids today are bad, we're bad. We produce them. So I'm just trying to be a change, man. I'm just being a change agent, talking to young kids. And what I'm saying, connect with young kids, man. I go to high schools. Ooh, they love it, man. They say, hey, man, nobody's been on our campus like you talking like this. I'm giving kids some true stuff. You know, that's what it's all about. So I'm excited. Nothing's going to stop me, man. I'm 58 years old. I'm about to turn 58. You know, I feel good. I'll get in the ring with an 18-year-old and beat him down. I'm just having fun, man, in life.
I love it. And those of you that are watching and listening will listen to this. We want you to stay connected with Rory. You can do that several ways. His handle is Rory K. Douglas on Instagram, TikTok, and on Twitter. That is at Rory K. Douglas. Also, you can find him on LinkedIn under Rory K. Douglas. On Facebook, his page is official Rory Douglas. Also, check out his website, RoryKDouglas.com.
And the podcast.
Oh, yeah, and the podcast. Is it serendipity?
I don't publicize it that much, but I have a podcast. It's official Rory K. Douglas.
Okay.
Official Rory K. Douglas. Got a podcast. It's a lot of content there also, too.
Go check out his podcast. I'm sure that inspired just as sure as you've listened to this tonight. As always, stay tuned in to what we have going here on Unscripted. On our Facebook page is Unscripted Authentic Leadership Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can find us on Twitter at Unscripted Lead. Also on Instagram at Unscripted Leadership. Those of you that will listen and download the podcast, you're part of our listening audience. You can stream our podcast on any major podcast platform, from Apple to Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast at. Type in Unscripted Authentic Leadership Podcast. You can find us there. And last but not least, sign up for an Unscripted Mastermind group on the unscripted-leadership.com website. You also, when you sign up for our email group, you will receive a 10% off merch promo code right there on unscripted-leadership.com.
And I want to jump in. Unscripted. I want to say this here.
Yeah.
Unscripted. I'm telling you guys, this particular platform, this podcast is the future. It's the future. I love it. I love what you guys do. Wow. I see exactly what you guys are doing out there in the marketplace. And I'm telling you guys, the best is yet to come. So whoever's listening and looking right now, make sure you tune into what these guys are doing. They're going places.
I received that. Thank you. Lord, thank you. As always, Roy, you done messed me up tonight. As always, we pray that you be the leader that God has called you to be. We're here to build bridges and not walls. Bridges to connect, the walls about. Until next time, God bless you.